I like to tell people that my recipes just happen to be gluten-free because really, they're designed to be enjoyed by anybody at the table, whether or not you can eat gluten. I had to cut gluten out of my diet over a decade ago after my oldest daughter was born. And I have to tell you, it totally shook my world. I had developed thyroid issues. I came down with Lyme's disease. I was so sick. And after a lot of trial and error, my doctor and I realized that gluten was making me sicker. But I was so resistant to going gluten-free. It was such a challenge for me. I grew up in the Midwest. New York City was the one place on earth I vowed I would never live, but I moved with my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I am so grateful I did because it introduced me to this food industry that I didn't know existed. I was the kid who grew up watching Jacques Pepin on PBS instead of cartoons. So when we lived in the city, eventually I quit my boring marketing job and I went to culinary school. And by the time Ella was born, I had worked in several different facets of the food industry. I had worked in catering, I had worked as a private chef. And when she was born, I was working as a food stylist and as a recipe developer. And I didn't know if I could keep my job. Luckily, I was able to adapt. I still had such a strong taste memory, but it really set me off on my journey. I became so passionate about developing gluten-free recipes that are just as delicious as the original while also being easy to make. Because at that time, all of the recipes included like a million ingredients, so many arcane things that I didn't want to keep in my pantry. But I knew there had to be a way to simplify things without sacrificing flavor. I started my blog From Scratch Fast, which has become my primary focus in the past couple of years and one of my biggest joys. My mission is to help and empower busy families to get nutritious, wholesome, delicious meals and dishes on the table any night of the week. I've also written 3 cookbooks, and I know firsthand how challenging it can be to feed a family, especially if you throw food restrictions and allergies into the mix. So many of my recipes can also be adapted to accommodate different eaters. I live in the Hudson Valley of New York with my husband and my 2 daughters. We are surrounded by farmland, and much of my cooking gets its inspiration from these beautiful, fresh, whole ingredients. I hope that I can inspire my readers and my viewers to use these ingredients in their own kitchens, as well as to nourish themselves with pleasure and with joy. For me, cooking feels sacred, and I am so honored that I get to do this for my job. I have to say, these days, I do not miss gluten at all. My youngest daughter, Junie, can't eat gluten either, but my oldest daughter, Ella, and my husband can, and I gotta tell you, they don't miss it either.